Well, I'm a firefighter in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and on September 11th, I was working nights. So obviously during the day, the attacks took place. I had to work that night. In the morning, when I got off shift, a big group of guys I work with were like, just wanted to do something, wanted to help in some way, as I'm sure everybody in the world wanted to do. You know, it was like you were standing on the sidelines watching this horrific thing, and you just wanted to be there to help. And so we, a bunch of us got on a train and just came down and got off the train, and there was a police officer right outside Grand Central Station, and he was like, "You guys firemen, come with me." And we just piled into his car. A couple of guys were sitting in the trunk, and he drove us all the way down here and dropped us off. And you know, we just got out of the car, and I mean, you can't even describe it. It was like being in the middle of a movie. It was just, you didn't know where to begin, and we just basically made our way into the pile and just started digging, you know, next to guys. I mean, there were guys, emergency workers from everywhere. It was just incredible. That's one thing that I remember, is just seeing the back of guys' coats. I mean, guys from Europe to Canada. I mean, everybody just converged here and you know, just wanted to help. And it was kind of a united front, you know, around the world. I think everybody felt the same way, and that's one thing I remember, is just that, and the overall devastation. Like, you just didn't know where to begin. It was unbelievable. Well, I was home in the morning because I just came off nights, and you know, having breakfast with the wife, and I just had my daughter at that point, but I was scheduled to work that night, so went into work, and it was just one of those things, you know, everything was on high alert. Even, you know, all the firehouses, you know, they announced, you know, high alert, you know, keep everything locked up, and because you just didn't know if there was any kind of secondary something going on or anything. And it was just one of those things where guys were just calling around saying, "Hey, tomorrow morning we're all going to meet at the train station." And you know, there was probably 30, 40 guys waiting there, and we just came down.
I was out of the country at the time when the attack happened, and you know, I awoke to a voice over a loudspeaker telling me that the United States has been, that the World Trade Center has been attacked. The United States is under a terrorist attack. And I mean, as you could imagine, I just kind of sat up, alarmed, and immediately went over to the television and turned it on. And at that time, the Tower 1 was on fire, because I believe Tower 1 was struck first, was on fire, and I was watching just in disbelief that this could have happened. And while I was watching, I literally saw that second plane come in and strike the other tower, and just immediately felt that sense of desperation. I need to get home. I need to be there. I need to get down there. What am I going to do? You know, and it just turned into airports were shut down for the next approximately, I believe it was 5 or almost 7 days, and so there was no way of getting back into the States for me. And when I arrived in Miami Airport to try to get back to New York, I remember I was standing in line, and I remember to pull out my ID, and I opened my wallet, and there was my badge. And immediately a police officer comes over to me. He says, "Are you a firefighter?" I says, "Yeah, I'm trying to get back to New York." And I remember him grabbing me by the arm and just escorting me over to the ticket counter, and he says, "Put this guy on the first plane out." And sure enough, I was on that very first plane out when they opened up the aviation, opened up the airspace to fly to get the okay. I was out there, so I was back home. Well, I'll say, you know, from a firefighter's perspective, you know, what happened on that day was tragic and beyond the scope of what we could possibly ever train for. You know, we could train for the greatest disasters, but, you know, I think at that time, nobody in their mind completely prepared for something of that magnitude. And even to this day, although we've had extensive training in this type of scenario, you're never fully prepared for it, I think, but there are a lot of new systems in place and training in place that makes us better prepared to handle an emergency of that magnitude. I will tell you this though, and make no mistake, we lost 343 brother firefighters in that building. That's just the firefighters. That's not counting the civilians, the police officers, all the other workers that were involved. If that situation were to happen again today, I can assure you every single one of those guys would rush back into that building to save a life. It would not have changed the outcome, knowing that the possibility of those buildings could have collapsed. You cannot take that out of a firefighter, that instinctual desire to get in there and help someone who is in their time of trouble.